Thank you for joining me. I'm Scott Ryan. The talk of the day is the petitions for secession. 75,000 people in 20 states petitioning the federal government. Now, talk radio, people like Glenn Beck, they're actually talking about these people as though they're crazy. And I don't think they're crazy, but I think that, first of all, they're wasting their time. If anything, they should be petitioning, if they really want secession, they should be petitioning their state legislators, because it's the legislature's job to secede, if anybody's going to secede. You want to secede from the Union, then you move to another country and give up your citizenship here. That's seceding from the Union. But this is a little bit askew, and for that reason, it's more of a it might have originated as a publicity stunt from some organization that wanted attention, but you could go back to my video blogs at YouTube for the past year. I've been saying that Obama has diligently, he's step by step, from the day he took office, he's positioning himself as the second coming of Lincoln. In so many ways, it's bizarre, from, obviously campaigning in front of Lincoln's banners in front of the state house where Lincoln served, equating himself to Lincoln through even his first presidential campaign, to being sworn in on Lincoln's Bible at his first inauguration, having the same menu served during his inaugural dinner as Lincoln had during his inauguration. I mean, it is blatantly obvious that this guy is trying to make parallels between himself and Lincoln. There's no question about that. So it is obvious that he is doing everything that he can to force state secession. But it isn't time for that. And where I think the ideas are askew is there are people that are angry and they want to vent. But we don't want to secede. Nobody in their right mind wants to secede from the United States. Just like our founding fathers, it took years trying to redress the grievances. They exhausted every possible avenue that they could to avoid declaring independence. I mean, loyalists to the crown, many of our founding fathers were, until the last minute, when they realized, like Ben Franklin, these were people that did not want to secede. It wasn't like some popular, we're going to get revenge. No, it was a very sober thing. I have no doubt that secession is going to happen, but it's not going to happen because we're mad we lost the election. It's going to happen when the states when the legislators in states have no other choice but in order to protect their citizens. When Obamacare, for example, over the next year or two really starts kicking in. We haven't seen anything. I think, like Glenn Beck, no doubt he'll come around. He just is underestimating the gravity of the situation. When Obamacare starts kicking in over the next couple of years, you're going to see things so egregious that people never even imagined possible. We're talking about now whether doctors or Catholic hospitals, doctors at Catholic hospitals should be forced to, or any Christian hospital, or any hospital for that matter, that anybody should be forced to prescribe the abortion pill. Now, that was the biggest thing that we saw during the campaign, but we're not talking just pills. That's a big deal. That's murder that they're being ordered to essentially commit as doctors. But it's not just going to be pills. You're going to see evil, an outpouring of evil like you have never seen or imagined. You're a doctor, you're going to be forced to perform abortions with your hands, not just pills. This federal government will require you to perform abortions. You will be required, asked to kill, euthanize adult human beings, the elderly. We hear the UN commercials. We know what kind of depravity and sick minds these liberals are. You are going to be asked to marry homosexuals. You're going to be required to marry, to perform ceremonies to marry homosexuals if you are a pastor, a Christian pastor, because those homosexuals, even though they despise your church, they're going to come into your church for that purpose. They will sit through, they will join, they will make your church, they will desecrate your church, and you will be required to either bow to the idol or be thrown in the proverbial fiery furnace. So what are you going to do? So we can make fun of people who are petitioning for some reason as though they could secede from the Union on behalf of their states without their state legislature and governor having something to say for it. But that's besides the point. You can ridicule them now, but what are you going to do when they come to you? Are you going to perform? Are you going to violate your conscience? Are you going to disobey your God? Are you that cheap? Are you going to kill the elderly? Are you going to kill the babies? This is just scratching the surface. I mean, I'm giving a few egregious examples of what is going to happen, but things that we can't even imagine now are going to come into place here over the next few years. So you're not going to do it, and your state, if you're smart enough to live in a state with a legislature that are still God-fearing and willing to take a stand as sovereign states, the Constitution gives them the authority. The federal government is the one that seceded. They seceded over the past couple years from our Constitution. We have the moral rectitude. And the states will not technically be seceding because they will be standing for what the Founding Fathers promulgated in 1776 and ratified in 1781 at the Constitutional Convention. So you could call it whatever you want, but the federal government will be attacking. And your state, if you live in the right states, amongst the right states, will defend you. Now, these people that are, quote unquote, seceding in New York and other states, Pennsylvania, don't delude yourself, people. You can sign all the secession petitions you want, but you're living in Sodom, and they're not going to be protecting you. So if you want to live in a state where the legislature has the moral rectitude, the moral conviction, the backbone to stand against evil, unmitigated evil, it would be like people who stood against the Nazis in World War II. If you want to live in a state where you can stand, come here, come to the South, because I'll tell you what, your state is not going to help you. Your state is going to hand you over to Caesar, to Nero. Something to think about. The federal government is the one that seceded. They seceded from the Constitution. Let's not be delusional. Soon enough, these people in talk radio will be saying that they predicted this well in advance, when it becomes mainstream enough for them to blaze that trail. There's one talk radio host out there that has the guts to actually tell it like it is. That's Mark Levin. He is the cerebral talk radio host in America. He's the one that knows the Constitution. He's actually, I don't read books written by contemporary people that are living in these contemporary times. If I want to read about the Founding Fathers, I read the Founding Fathers. I go to the original sources. I have not read, I've been given books by all kinds of popular people over the past decades. I've never read one. But Mark Levin is one person. I haven't been given a Mark Levin book, and I've never bought one, but I would actually take the time to hear what this guy has to say when he inveighs upon the Founding Fathers and the Constitution. I suggest that people listen to him. Thank you for joining me. I'm Scott Ryan.